Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. A very beautiful way that we can get a little taste of Moshiach is to work on our joy when serving God. You know, there's really an incredible, and beyond words, but we'll try to put into words. There's an unbelievable power and intensity when a person serves God with joy. When a person carries out the mitzvahs, the will of God, with joy and does it in a way of excitement. And people could say, how could it be? How could you tell me to feel joy and excitement about something that it's not my choice? Well, one thing I've noticed is that when you act excited and joyous about something, when you act on the exterior happy, it penetrates the interior. And this actually, a friend told me that when you smile on the outside, when you force yourself to smile, even when you don't feel like smiling, Hashem's going to give you a reason to smile, and you draw down blessings upon yourself. And you'll notice that when you act, when you decide that you want to be happy when serving God, there is no delay. The Yetzer Hara has no way to stop you. But you immediately have the ability to be joyous when serving God. And this is true whether it's you're learning Torah, whether you're giving charity, or whether you're doing an act of kindness for another person. Whatever the case may be, when you are serving the Creator, you need to be joyous because you have been given the greatest gift of all. Imagine the king of a faraway country invites you to the greatest meal or whatever. Well, not meal because we don't want to eat with unkosher food, but let's say he invites you to the greatest event. Let's say the king invites you to his office on this day and you get to meet him in his office and you have 2 hours with him and you can ask him whatever he wants and whatnot. And he gives you all these gifts. Imagine if you then have a frown on your face and you look miserable, how offended the king is going to be. Here, the whole world wants to meet this guy, and then you have been given a crown. You've been given amazing treatment, top service treatment. You've been treated like a king yourself, and then you walk in, God forbid, in a bad mood. Imagine how upset the king would be. Now that can just give us a little drop of what's really going on, because we have the King of Kings with us, Hashem, who makes any man who's beyond infinitely above any man of flesh, any king of flesh, and Hashem is asking for our attention, and He's telling us when we do a commandment, we are becoming totally united with Him. When we learn Torah, we're becoming totally united with God. Therefore, we have no reason not to be joyous. I will notice that when we become happy about serving God, it's truly the greatest pleasure of all. Because when someone's experiencing pleasure or happiness from something that's false, something that's not in accordance with God's will, even when they feel happy, they feel guilt and they feel it's not a real happiness. It's only a temporary, false illusion. But when you're happy, when you're serving God, you know that this joy is really a taste of the true joy that's waiting for us in the days of Moshiach, that we know that it's real. That's why there's something so exciting about being excited to serve God, because you know that now your emotions are on par with your soul. Because as we've spoken about in many previous videos, we have many faculties that correspond to the 10 spheros, the 10 sephirot, and in those spheros there are the Chabad, Chokhmah, Bina, Das, the intellectual qualities that are on the head, and then the emotions are below it. And when studying Torah, which is the will of God, which is above logic, we're able to learn the wisdom of God as well, and it's able to penetrate our hearts. The Rebbe Rashab explains something very beautiful. He says, when you're learning Torah with your intellect, the intellect is a very holy, refined level. So we connect our intellect to that level. But it could be that a person is learning Torah with their intellect, but it hasn't yet totally penetrated them. Because we know that the ikr, the main part of the animal soul is revealed through the emotions, whereas the main part of the godly soul is revealed through the intellect. So if we really want to penetrate the body and get the body to be turned over to holiness as well, that is through the emotions. We have to learn Torah in a way where we allow it to penetrate our emotions. And with that, we have to just think about Torah and think about how it's good for me specifically. Meaning, when learning Torah, it's not enough to just learn these deep ideas and to intellectually appreciate them. We have to take it to the point where we appreciate that this Torah that Hashem is giving me, these mitzvahs that Hashem is giving me, they are good for me. This is amazing for me. Because the Rebbe Shab explains how the intellect is about, when you're learning Torah, when you're connecting to God through your intellect, you're saying how Hashem is good, Hashem is great, Hashem is holy, Hashem is exalted. then when you take it down to the emotions, it says Hashem is good for me. Hashem does good for me. Hashem is above me. And when you relate it to you, when you realize that God is interested in a relationship with you, the emotions get aroused. And actually something very interesting is the emotions actually give taste to the intellect. When you're learning an idea, as great as it may be, unless it penetrates your emotions, you're not fully tapping into the full expression of this intellect. Because the whole point of the Torah is it's supposed to go into your heart. That is why in the Shema we say, these words that I'm commanding you today should be upon your heart. Meaning you should take these words and put them into heart. And we know, what does it mean you're supposed to feel these emotions in your heart? Well, there are two main emotions that are called the wings. That with just like a bird needs two wings to fly, so too we need two wings to fly spiritually and get closer to God. And these two emotions that allow us to reach greater heights are fear and love. Love and fear. And if you have just one of the two, your relationship with God is lacking. It's not enough just to fear God if you don't love. If you just have fear of God but you don't love God, so yes, you're afraid, but there's a whole love aspect of this relationship that's being crippled off. And by that same token, if you just love God but you don't fear, it's not a real love because you don't fear God. So you may love Him when you want to love Him, but when it's not convenient, you're not tied to Him. But when you have love and the fear of God, they combine together for a greater effect, and then you're totally given over to God, and then your whole experience will be permeated with God. Another way to actually arouse this love and fear of God is to show love for your fellow, and to judge others in a positive way, and to try to focus on the good in the other. Because when we focus on the positive qualities in our fellow, we realize just how good these our fellow brothers and sisters are. It'll allow us to have empathy, and we know that Hashem is the most empathetic of all. So when we show empathy for our fellow, Hashem will show empathy for us, and we bond with Him through that experience. So that is why whenever you're doing a mitzvah, realize to yourself, put a smile on your face, be excited because you're doing the will of God, and realize that one day when the Moshiach comes, maybe today, and we see the power is in front of us, we're going to say, wow, look at this opportunity we had. We don't want to ever, God forbid, look back and say, oh, I had such an opportunity. The worst thing in life is regret and missed opportunities. We have this opportunity right in front of us, my friends, right here, right now. Let's grab it. Let's jump in it. Let's absorb it. Let's dance in the Torah, because we have this opportunity, and we have to be excited. And really, as great as we think this opportunity is, it's just a drop of how great it really is. This mission that we've been sent on is beyond infinitely important. Hashem, who is perfect, God didn't need anything, but yet He decided to create you specifically. You were needed to be created. You have an infinitely important mission. God specifically wants you. Don't ever forget that, my friends. I'm so proud of you all. I really appreciate the beautiful comments and the support. And may we merit to see the days of Moshiach immediately, so we can go together, young and old, to Jerusalem, the holy city, Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, Moshiach Tzidkeinu Tekef Umiyad Mamish, which means, I was asked to explain more of the Hebrew words I use, which means Moshiach Tzidkeinu Tekef Umiyad Mamish. We want the righteous Moshiach to come, Tekef Umiyad Mamish, immediately, truly, completely immediately, meaning right now. Let's take this to heart. Excited, especially Shabbos is coming. We have to be happy on Shabbos and enjoy ourselves and celebrate the holy day of God, where God rested. And this will allow us to our bodies to become closer to God, because normally there's a battle between the godly soul and the animal soul. But that's only at first glance. What if we can make them on the same team, and the animal soul actually is on board with the godly soul and takes the godly soul to even greater heights? That is what we're able to do with the Torah, because the Torah is both spiritual and physical. It fuses the two. And especially when we're in the Pnimis of Torah, Hasidut, the secrets of Torah, which allow us, our bodies, to enjoy it as well. Because, Kabbalah and Hasidut is very exciting stuff. It's very stimulating, very deep, very awesome, overwhelming stuff. So it allows you to become in awe of God and feel a fear and love of God. We want to hold on to that fear and love of God, because that is what will guide us to reach infinitely greater heights. May Hashem bless you all. Be well.